Hello, healed listeners. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to have Mr. Walt Cross here with us this morning. He is from the Mustard Seed in Newport, Tennessee, and has so many accomplishments. Walt, will you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm from East Tennessee. I went to school for healthcare administration, worked in that field for about 20 years, and left that in 2000, and then have worked in lifestyle health since.
Okay. And you travel around the world speaking, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's so exciting. We're so lucky to have you here. So tell me a little bit about yourself, like before you had a health issue, before you really were sick. Did you always struggle with your health, or was that something that just kind of came on suddenly?
No, it didn't. It came on when I was in my mid 30s. I started having gastrointestinal issues, and it crescendoed. And then for about 2.5 years, I suffered with ulcerative colitis. And it came to a point that the medications quit working. And it's interesting. Prior to that, I would, go to the doctor routinely for even other issues, but mostly gastrointestinal. Take medications, whatever for that. And it finally came to a crescendo in '99, and my gastroenterologist told me I was going to die if I did not have my whole colon removed.
And so what were your initial thoughts? Like when you heard that news, what was your initial feeling about that?
I got to find something else to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because working in healthcare, you understand, the needs of different parts that God gave us, and you just don't throw the colon away. I'd seen patients who did not have a colon and knew the absorption issues and other issues that they have, and I didn't want to have those issues.
So you decided to take a different route. How did you end up getting started in that route? Like, what was the initial, how did you find out that there were other options?
Well, God works in interesting ways. About 5 years before, I had been at a conference and during the noon meal, the presenter, a cardiologist outside of Asheville, North Carolina, we ate dinner together, the noon meal, and he was sharing some of his health issues, and he had a similar colon issue, not exactly like mine. And he had used a physician that did a natural approach, and he didn't have a total resolve, but he had significant improvement. So when my GI in Asheville told me that there was nothing else I could do, because by 1:30 in the afternoon, I'd have to lock myself in the office at work. I couldn't walk because I looked like a drunk man. I couldn't talk on the phone because I talked like a drunk man. And so I'd have to just lock myself in the office, do paperwork until time to go home, sleep, rest up enough, and then the next morning do it all over again until about 1:30, 2 o'clock at the latest. And again, I was locked in my office till I could go home. So
That's no way to live.
decided to try what the physician who had helped him out.
And kind of what was that protocol? Where's that detox, nutrition?
It was a diet and
Okay.
supplements. The diet consisted of, well, it was a combination in a diet. Number one, you had to eliminate the cause.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't eliminate the cause, then you continue having the cause.
Mm-hmm.
You can mask and manage, but you still have the cause. So I had to eliminate the diet, the standard American diet that was causing the issue.
Yeah.
And then he gave me just a basic potato soup. And all I did was eat potato soup, potatoes, celery, carrots, and onions, breakfast, dinner, and supper, a quart each meal for 21 days. And the phytochemicals that God puts in there is amazing on healing the gastrointestinal tract. And then he included things like aloe vera, carob, other just foods like that, which would also help to heal the colon wall. So it was a two-step process. One, stop the cause, and then provide those phytonutrients that heal the colon.
And what happened once you did that protocol?
Well, I was hungry. I was used to the standard American diet. I grew up on a dairy farm. I was used to eating a lot of dairy, which found out to be one of the major causes. And so it was a challenge, and it was that fight, in my mind, because appetite, as we go back to the beginning, appetite is a huge tool that Satan has, and that building that no muscle in my brain to say no to appetite was difficult, but it did it. I mean, you have a choice. You have a choice of either hurting, because when you have ulcerative colitis to that extent, it's extremely painful, not to mention all the other outcomes that it has. So it's not worth the pain. And so you stop the cause, but it's a challenge doing that. But it took 6 months.
And in 6 months?
Totally healed.
Totally.
Until about 4 months later, I came to my senses work-wise and changed careers. And I was working in Virginia. I was driving home one weekend back to North Carolina, and until we sold our house, Marilyn and the kids were at home, and I was on the way back, and I saw this DQ sign on the side of 81, Interstate 81. I thought, I've been 4 months. My colon's doing well. Boy, I sure like blizzards.
Yeah.
And so I pulled over, got off the interstate, went left, went across the interstate, pulled over and left on the left side, and went into DQ and got me a let's see, what was it called? You forget. A blizzard. Yeah, a blizzard. And boy, it tasted good. I hadn't had one now for almost a year, and got in the car, started driving down 81 again towards North Carolina, and I didn't even get it half consumed, and it felt like a knife had stabbed me in my upper left quadrant, and I leaned over the steering wheel. It was so painful, and I set the blizzard on the seat beside me, and I said, "Okay, God, let's make a deal. I won't do this again. Just don't let UC come back." And he did.
That's awesome. That DQ blizzard was not worth it.
No.
So you said something that I want to ask you about. I want to kind of hone in a little bit. You said that you had to, because a lot of people struggle with their health, and diet could completely take care of some of the issues. But how did you go about developing that no response in your brain? How did you fight those cravings?
It's just like anybody who stops any other addiction. Food is an addiction. Now, yes, we have to eat. We've got to eat to survive, but we have to make the right choices. Moderation in the good stuff, total abstinence in the bad stuff. And so it's just like stopping smoking. It's just like stopping drinking or drugs or whatever it may be. You have to have a desire. Very seldom do you see a person stop smoking who doesn't want to stop smoking. Usually it's some critical thing, such as they've got emphysema, they got lung cancer, or their new spouse says, or this girl they want to marry says, "I ain't going to marry you unless you quit smoking." There's got to be something that gives you an incentive. Unfortunately, the incentive many times is not the best incentive. The best incentive is our body's the temple of God. We need to take care of it.
Yeah.
But you've got to have an incentive, and you have to make a choice. Yes. And you just have to make a decision to make that choice. And the more you make that choice, in your brain, you've got boutons, and you fire across the synapse. And the more you have a synapse, and as you fire across, you develop boutons on that. And the more you do it, from dendrite to dendrite, you build and build boutons, and so it's easier to go that way. Well, when you stop and you then choose, and you're a sailor and you quit say cussing, it's easier to cuss than it is not to cuss, because that's what they've done for years. So the more boutons you now put on this new synapse, the easier it is, and that's just how you develop new habits.
Yes, I love that. I've just been recently studying a little bit about that. Okay, so you went from, I just want to clarify, you went from have your colon completely removed or you're going to die, and that was how long ago?
A little over 20 years ago.
And you did the natural protocol 20 years ago?
20 years ago.
And you're healthy now? Do you have any trouble with your colon now, or?
No, none at all. I mean, it was to the point that there was no intact tissue on the interior of the colon. And the gastroenterologist said when he looked in, he said, Walt, it looks like hamburger meat on the inside of your colon. There is no intact tissue. He says, it looks like it's been drugged down I-40. There's no intact tissue on the inside of your colon.
And so you attribute that nutrition to your healing?
I attribute more than just the nutrition. I believe that nutrition is a huge key, but I believe God's the one that does the healing.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what we believe here too, that God is our true healer, and we can use different avenues to get there, but He's the source of our healing. So what would you say to people, Walt, who are struggling with either the same health issue that you had or other health issues? I know, and I want to make a disclaimer real quick. The purpose of this video is not to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease, but the purpose of this podcast is to give people hope and point them in the right direction for their health. So what would you say to them if I'm struggling with a health issue and I've struggled for a long time, it's chronic, what would you say to me?
I'd first say, let's pray.
Okay.
And ask for God's wisdom.
Yes.
Many times we think that our health system has all the answers. And as we know, that's constantly changing from one thing to the exact opposite. And we're seeing that today in what we're dealing with in this coronavirus. What we think one day, and the next day we say it's just the opposite. And so healthcare is not an absolute, like 1 + 1 = 2. We constantly learn. But God knows. God knows physiologically what's wrong with you. He knows a whole lot better than any diagnostic tool you can take. He knows anatomy and physiology a whole lot better than any clinician that you go to. And so I believe you need to go to God and say, okay, God, what's wrong? And show me what I need to do and give me the willpower. I think that's critical. I really do. I know it's critical. It worked for me. And as I work with people on a daily basis, I see that's huge. Yes, we still need to go to our physicians, use those diagnostics. They're great tools. But I think we need to also enlist God's help as we go through this process. We need to look and find out as much as possible what is the problem, and then not mask and manage. And that's what I did for 20 years. We masked and we managed. The first 20 years, we never reversed one case of diabetes, not one. And then 20 years ago, I left and went to a clinic outside of DC as the director, and we had over a 98% reversal rate of type 2 diabetes. I just got back from Africa, and I had a lady come in just in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, a lady comes in, and she's got a glucose of 399 in the first morning. She's on insulin. She's on 2,000 milligrams of metformin. And in 2 weeks, her glucose is at 115. She's off insulin. She's off metformin. It works. And so, one, you've got to identify the problem. You've got to enlist, and get God's help there. Ask for His assistance. Remove the cause. And whether it's diabetes, remove the cause, whether it's ulcerative colitis, remove the cause, or if it's just typical lifestyle and you just don't have any energy. Why don't you have energy? Don't take a supplement. People come to me so often and they say, well, I want a healthy pill. No, don't go for a healthy pill. Find the cause. Do you not have energy because you don't go to sleep at night until 2:00 in the morning? Do you not have energy because you drink Coca-Cola instead of water? Do you not have energy because you do donuts instead of, oatmeal and fruits and nuts? Find the cause and embrace correcting that cause.
Yes, I love that. Such good advice. So tell me where we can find you.
Well, we're in Newport, Tennessee.
Okay, and that's at the Mustard Seed, which is
Yes.
a nutritional store, and they also have some a deli there, which, Walt, I don't even know what it was. It was like a hamburger with no meat.
Yes.
But I do not eat vegan, and it was so delicious. I cannot wait to come back and get another one.
Good.
And they have all kinds of smoothies there that are banana split and a coffee flavor that are all healthy. But do you meet with people there? Do you, I know you do some trainings online. Is that correct?
We do, yes. We do a combination.
Okay.
We do one-on-ones. We do a lot of one-on-one all day long for simple things,
Okay.
helping people make the right decisions on getting back on track or making recommendations on nutrition or supplementation. But we also do a lot of where people come in and we just sit down and we look at a history. What are their health concerns? What's their lifestyle history? And it's really interesting. A person can come in and they can say, they can present these problems. And then when you ask them, tell me about your diet, tell me about your exercise, tell me about, what time you go to bed, tell me about, these basic laws of health. And you can tell exactly why they're having those problems because they're not following those laws of health. When they apply those laws of health, boom, the body starts working again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's fun. It's fun. And so we do that. We do that both in person and we do it over the phone. I work with people from Africa to Japan on the internet. So we just help people out with health concerns.
Okay, so we can reach you at the Mustard Seed. We can just call
Yes.
the Mustard Seed.
Yes.
Is it okay if I share your email?
That would be fine.
Okay, so Walt Cross, WaltCross @gmail.com.
Yes, ma'am.
And you also have, if I want to watch you, or you have some videos online, or where
Yes.
can I see those?
You can go to YouTube, Amazing Discoveries.
Amazing Discoveries.
Walt Cross.
Okay.
There's others out there, but that's probably a place to get started. You'll see more of that type of thing also coming out of the store.
Okay, fantastic.
Or you can go, I tell you what, you can also go to our website at the store. You can go to themustardseed.us, themustardseed.us,
Okay.
go to education, and you can watch those same videos there and others.
Okay. And you are working on your doctorate, is that correct?
That's correct.
What are you studying right now exactly?
Lifestyle health.
Uh-huh.
For an ND.
Well, good luck in that. You are just a wealth of knowledge, and you have such an amazing story, as are all the God stories that we share on here. It's amazing how fast the body will heal when you involve God and his principles for how we're supposed to live. So I'm so honored to have you and to have met you, and have gotten to interview you today. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
All right, healed listeners, we will see you next time with another amazing God story.